Millionaire Clayton Glover died recently. He has no heir since his son Matt disappeared in a skiing accident 5 years ago. But wait! A man shows up claiming to be Matt. He says he's been away for so long because the ski accident gave him amnesia. But I thought avalanches cure amnesia in this series. Yes, I'm still making fun of Book 3 for having an amnesia-curing avalanche. That was stupid. Argofunk Book Review, Argofunk Book Review. Everyone wants to know if this is the real Matt or an impostor who wants to inherit the family fortune. He knows things that the real Matt would know, like where things are located in the house, his fondness for sandwiches drowned in mustard, and his private nickname for Mrs. Adams, the housekeeper. Environmental activist Tony Giralda gets angry and accuses Matt of being a phony. When Nancy asks why, he orders her to meet him in his office. The next day she does show up at his tiny office, and he says he knows Matt's a phony because he has a feeling Matt is phony. You didn't need to force Nancy to come to your office just to say that, Tony. Bess starts crushing on Matt, and she's disappointed that her friends are skeptical he's the real deal. Nancy's father says all of the money goes to charity if Matt is a fake. Nancy realizes Tony's probably accusing Matt because he wants to get the money. On the other hand, Mrs. Adams might be coaching a fake Matt because she wants to keep her job. In conclusion, suspects are suspicious, rain is wet, and bears poop in the woods. Nancy stays up past 2 a.m. that night trying to fix her tape deck. Nancy. Matt was living in Chicago as a journalist named Gary Page. His boss confirms he has a great memory and an eye for detail. She gives Nancy one of the first stories that he ever wrote, which is about a gardener named Jake Loomis. She picked this article completely at random, but by coincidence, it will be vital to the mystery solution. Bess gets silly over Matt, and Nancy stops at Tony's. The door is unlocked, so she snoops around. The culprit shoves her into a room filled with Tony's vicious guard dogs! Nancy sweet-talks them, and they're not vicious, they're actually just big, fluffy, friendly fellows. The attempted murder convinced Nancy that this is actually a mystery, and not just a waste of everyone's time. She shows the article to Tony, who says Jake Loomis was the family gardener. Loomis and Matt were particularly close. Tony also says the real Matt has a scar on his wrist from when he was 10. Matt has the scar in the correct spot, but it's still pinkish red. It's definitely recent, not 13 years old. That should be proof Matt is a fake, but nobody bothers to follow up on it. Nancy and George talk to Loomis. He says he quit his gardening job after getting into a big fight with Matt's father. He claims he didn't recognize Matt during their interview, because who recognizes someone after living with them for a decade? Loomis jokes that Matt's reappearance is bad news for the local charities who won't inherit now. Nancy, Bess, and George go to Matt's house. She interrupts a phone call, and he glares at her angrily. I do the same thing sometimes, so I'm not sure we can count this as a culprit giveaway. Mrs. Adams starts crying when Matt gives her a chocolate cake. In private, she confesses to Nancy that she's allergic to chocolate, something the real Matt would know. It's lovely weather for a sleigh ride together, so the gang heads out on a one-horse open sleigh. Someone jumps in front of Nancy and George's sleigh, startling the horse and injuring them. Nancy was wearing Matt's hat at the time, so we're not sure if Matt or Nancy is the intended victim. I mean, gosh, they look so much alike, wearing a hat totally makes them twins. We're 2/3 of the way through the book, by the way. Everyone knows Matt is a phony, right? We are too far into this mystery for it to be a fake-out with a different crime. Tony doesn't have an alibi for the sleigh incident, and he's about to be evicted. Nancy says, gee, that inheritance money sure would come in handy right now. Suspect? And Tony has no idea what she's talking about. Why not? As Nancy's father explains, that was privileged information. It's illegal for Nancy to reveal the contents of Glover's will to a third party. Now Mr. Drew is going to have to arrest her. Just kidding, of course. But if the will's contents are top secret, how did Loomis know about them? Nancy goes to the stables, where an employee named Charlie Murphy confirms the reins to the sleigh were cut. That was deliberate sabotage! Nancy puts all the clues together and concludes that Loomis and Matt are the culprits. She decides to set Matt up by manipulating his relationship with Bess. Bess has the tape recorder in her pocket and she talks with Matt about his 18th birthday party. He agrees with her when she lies and says the cake was in the shape of a football. You faker! But the plan is foiled when Loomis shows up unexpectedly. He grabs Bess and twists her arm behind her back. Loomis explains he and Gary met every day for months on end, preparing to pass him off as Matt. I suppose it's just a coincidence that Matt's father died shortly before they were finished. Loomis plans to abandon Nancy and Bess in the countryside where they will freeze to death. The girls are saved when Tony comes in with his wild attack dogs. Loomis jumps on the couch to get away, while fake Matt runs for it. Nancy defeats him with a quick judo kick. Nancy asks Tony how he got his nice dogs to act mean. Tony explains his dogs hate baths, so he dumped water on their heads. They started acting crazy, anything to get out of bath time. The culprits are arrested, and we finish with Bess hoping the real Matt will come home soon. Poor Bess is getting a little desperate here. Hi, Matt. I dated your evil impersonator, and everything went well until his partner tried to kill me, so I know we'd be perfect together. The end. Postbook follow-up. Mr. Drew gives Matt a lie detector test to help confirm his identity. Even though he lies about a lot of things, the machine only registers a lie when he talks about Colorado. That's where the real Matt disappeared. Nancy and her friends figure fake Matt messed up here because his training to become Matt didn't cover the Colorado incident. Really? Why not? That's where Matt disappeared. It's a pretty safe bet that someone would ask him about it. This makes 3 out of the past 4 books which have an early culprit reveal. Is this a new trend? Are we no longer solving the case in the second to last chapter? I'm all for Nancy being smarter and solving the case sooner, but this book didn't need 2 full chapters after the culprit was captured. There were not that many loose plot threads that needed to be wrapped up. Overall, I like the book okay. The main problem is that it's kind of slow, and it's predictable that Matt is really the culprit. I'm giving it the average score. I give Nancy Drew Files number 56, Make No Mistake, a 5 out of 10.